Dr. Sarah Chen sat in her small control room on Pluto's moon. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. Outside the thick windows, space looked cold and empty. Sarah had been working the night shift at the Deep Space Monitoring Station for 3 years now. Most nights were boring. She would listen to radio signals from distant stars and write reports that nobody seemed to read. Tonight felt different, though. Something was coming through the speakers that she had never heard before. Sarah had studied alien languages for most of her adult life. The government told people that Earth was alone in the universe. They said no intelligent life existed beyond their planet, but Sarah knew better. For 300 years, humans had been watching other worlds from the shadows. They had built secret stations throughout the solar system to spy on alien civilizations. The truth was much bigger than most people knew. Humans had colonies on distant planets that regular Earth citizens never heard about. They had ships that could travel faster than light. They had weapons that could destroy entire fleets. But the government kept all of this hidden. They wanted the galaxy to think Earth was primitive and harmless. Sarah put on her headphones and turned up the volume. The signal was weak but clear. It was not random noise from space. Someone was trying to talk. The message repeated every few minutes on different radio frequencies. Whoever was sending it really wanted someone to hear them. She started her computer. Programs to break down the signal. So the first thing she noticed was that the message used math. Not human math, but the kind of math that any smart species would understand. Prime numbers, geometric shapes, physical constants that were the same everywhere in the universe. As her programs worked, Sarah began to see patterns. The aliens were using 17 different mathematical languages. They were really trying hard to make sure someone could understand them. This was not a simple hello message. This was desperate. Hours passed as Sarah worked to decode the transmission. She drank coffee and ate stale sandwiches while her computer slowly turned alien math into words she could read. Her hands shook with excitement. This was the biggest discovery in human history, and she was the first person to hear it. Finally, the translation program finished its work. Words appeared on her screen in simple English. Sarah read them twice to make sure she understood correctly. We are the Cathara of the third world of the Golden Star. Our children are dying. Our cities burn. The hegemony ships fill our sky like angry clouds. We have little time left before they destroy everything we built. Sarah's coffee cup fell from her hand and shattered on the floor. The hegemony was something humans had been watching for decades. It was a massive empire that controlled the center of the galaxy. They conquered worlds and enslaved entire species. Human spies had watched them destroy civilization after civilization. The message continued. We give our knowledge freely to whoever finds this message. We have learned to fold space and time. We can make matter dance to our will. We can sing to quantum particles and make them obey. Take our science. Use it well. Remember us when we are gone. Sarah stood up so fast that her chair fell backward. The Cathara were offering humanity scientific knowledge that could change everything. They had discovered ways to travel between dimensions. They understood physics that human scientists only dreamed about. And they were giving it all away because they were about to die. Our ships cannot fight the hegemony war machines. Builders, not killers. We grow food and cure diseases and explore the deep mysteries of the universe. We never learned to make weapons that could protect us. Now it is too late. Sarah's fingers flew across her keyboard as she recorded everything. This was bigger than just a distress call. This was a dying civilization trying to pass on everything they had learned to someone who might use it wisely. We broadcast this message to all who can hear. Please, if you have the power to fight, save our children. If you cannot fight, at least remember our songs. Remember our stories. Remember that we loved beauty and knowledge and peace. The transmission included detailed scientific formulas that made Sarah's head spin. The Cathara had learned to manipulate gravity itself. They could create energy from nothing. They could make ships invisible by bending light around them. Their technology was hundreds of years ahead of anything humans had developed, even in secret. Our world dies tomorrow. The hegemony commander has promised to turn our planet into glass. They want to make an example of us for other worlds that might resist. We do not hate them for this. Hate is a poison that destroys the one who carries it. We simply hope that someone with a stronger heart will hear our words, Sarah realized. She was crying. These aliens were facing complete destruction, and they were spending their last hours trying to help strangers they had never met. They could have used this time to run or hide. Instead, they chose to give away their greatest treasures. The message ended with coordinates to their home world and detailed star charts showing how to get there. The Cathera were not just calling for help. They were making it easy for someone to find them. Sarah grabbed her emergency phone and dialed her supervisor. This was too important to wait for morning. The human government had to know about this. Immediately, they had been hiding from the galaxy for 3 centuries, but now an innocent species was begging for help. As the phone rang, Zara looked out at the stars and wondered if humanity was ready to stop hiding. The Cathara had maybe hours left to live. If humans were going to help them, they would have to reveal themselves to the galaxy. They would have to show their secret ships and advanced weapons. Would have to become the strong heart that the Cathara hoped existed somewhere among the stars. The emergency meeting started at 3 in the morning. Sarah Chen sat at a long table, surrounded by the most powerful people on Earth. She had never seen so many important faces in one room before. The president of Earth sat at the head of the table. Military generals filled the chairs on both sides. Scientists and diplomats whispered to each other in the corners. Sarah played the Cathara's message for the 5th time that night. Every person in the room listened with serious faces. When the alien voices finished speaking, the room stayed quiet for a long moment. Everyone knew they were about to make the biggest decision in human history. Admiral James Morrison spoke first. He was an old man with gray hair and hard eyes. "We cannot reveal ourselves," he said firmly. "Humanity has stayed hidden for 300 years. We are safe because nobody knows we exist. If we help these aliens, the hegemony will learn about Earth. They will come for us next." Dr. Rebecca Torres shook her head. Programs that had given humanity their advanced technology, the Cathera are offering us scientific knowledge that could advance our civilization by centuries. Their quantum harmonics alone could revolutionize our energy production. We cannot let this opportunity die with them. "What opportunity?" Admiral Morrison snapped. "The opportunity to get ourselves killed? The hegemony has thousands of ships. They have conquered most of the galaxy. Even with our advanced technology, we are not ready to fight an empire that large." President Elena Vasquez raised her hand for silence. She was a calm woman who rarely showed emotion, but Sarah could see worry in her eyes. "Tell me about our real military strength," the president said. "I want to know exactly what we have hidden in our black projects." General Patricia Hayes opened a thick folder marked with security warnings. "The numbers are classified above top secret," she said. "Most of our own military does not know these weapons exist. We have been preparing for this day for 3 centuries, even though we hoped it would never come." Sarah watched as the general spread photographs across the table. The pictures showed massive spaceships unlike anything she had ever seen. They looked sleek and deadly, with smooth curves that seemed to bend light around them. "The Terran Defense Fleet consists of 47 capital ships," General Hayes continued. "Each one is equipped with quantum-fold drives that make them faster than anything in the galaxy, or plasma cannons can cut through any known armor. Their shields can deflect planet-killing weapons." Dr. Torres leaned forward. "We also have the AI network," she added quietly. "Our computers can coordinate attacks across multiple star systems at the same time. No other species has developed artificial intelligence that advanced." Admiral Morrison was not convinced. 47 ships against thousands. Those are terrible odds, even with superior technology. "You are thinking like an old-style military commander," Dr. Torres replied. "Our ships do not need to fight fair battles. They can appear anywhere instantly, can strike targets and vanish before the enemy knows what happened. We could destroy an entire enemy fleet without them ever seeing us coming." The president looked at Sarah. "Dr. Chen, you decoded their message. What is your professional opinion about the Cathera?" Sarah had been thinking about this question for hours. "They are genuinely peaceful," she said. "Their language patterns show no words for military concepts. They have no curse words or expressions of anger. They talk about science and art and philosophy. They're exactly the kind of species we should want as allies. And the hegemony? President Vasquez asked. Pure evil, Sarah answered without hesitation. We have been monitoring their communications for decades. They enjoy causing suffering. They destroy entire civilizations just to frighten other worlds. They are everything that humanity has always opposed. The room fell silent again. Sarah could hear the air conditioning humming and the distant sound of traffic outside. These people were deciding whether humanity would continue hiding or step onto the galactic stage as heroes. Dr. Torres spoke up again. There is something else we need to consider. The Cathara message was broadcast on multiple frequencies. Other species might have received it too. If we do nothing and the Cathara die, we lose the chance to gain their trust and their knowledge. Forever. But if we act, Admiral Morrison countered, we expose ourselves to dangers we cannot predict. The galaxy is full of hostile species. The hegemony is not our only potential enemy. President Vasquez stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the lights of New Geneva sparkled in the darkness. I need to see the classified files, she said. All of them. I want to know exactly what humanity is capable of before I make this decision. General Hayes looked uncomfortable. Madam President, some of those files are restricted even from your security level. The technology is so advanced that we were afraid it might be misused. Then unrestrict them, the President ordered. If I'm going to risk our entire species, I need to know what weapons we really have. 2 hours later, President Vasquez sat alone in a secure reading room. The files spread before her contained secrets that would have seemed like science fiction to most humans. Weapons that could destroy stars, ships that could travel through time, defensive systems that could make entire planets invisible. Humanity had not been idle during their 3 centuries of hiding. They had been preparing for war on a scale that no other species could imagine. They had learned from every conflict in galactic history. They had built weapons designed to fight enemies far more advanced than themselves. The most shocking revelation was the true size of the human military. The 47 ships of the defense fleet were just the beginning. Hidden throughout the outer rim systems were shipyards producing vessels that would not be discovered for decades. Automated factories built weapons and equipment without any human oversight. The industrial capacity was staggering. When President Vasquez returned to the meeting room, her face had changed. She looked older, but more determined. I have made my decision, she announced. We are going to save the Cathara. Admiral Morrison started to protest, but she cut him off. I have seen what we are truly capable of. We are not the weak, hidden civilization I thought we were. We are the most powerful military force in the galaxy, and we have been hiding like cowards while innocent species die. Or felt her heart racing. This was really happening. Humanity was about to reveal itself to the galaxy. General Hayes, the President continued, prepare the defense fleet for immediate deployment. Dr. Chen, I want you to compose a response to the Cathara message. Tell them help is coming. As the meeting ended and people rushed to their duties, Sarah remained in her chair. She thought about the desperate alien voices she had heard just hours ago. Soon those aliens would learn that they were not alone. In the universe, they would discover that someone with a strong heart had indeed heard their call for help. The sleeping giant was about to wake up. Captain Lisa Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the TDF, Prometheus, and watched her crew prepare for humanity's first open battle. The ship was massive, stretching nearly 2 kilometers from front to back.
Ow.
Its hull was made of materials that could bend light and deflect energy weapons. Every system had been tested and retested. But this would be their first real fight. The journey to the Cathara. Homeworld had taken only 6 hours using the quantum-fold drives. Regular space travel would have needed months to cover the same distance. Now 12 human ships hung in space just outside the Cathara solar system, invisible to enemy sensors. Captain, we are receiving multiple distress signals from the planet's surface, reported Lieutenant Kim Park from the communications station. The hegemony bombardment started 3 hours ago. They're targeting civilian shelters and research facilities. Lisa felt anger building in her chest. The hegemony was not trying to conquer the Cathara world. They were trying to completely destroy it. This was genocide, plain and simple. Show me the tactical display, Lisa ordered. The main Screen filled with a three-dimensional map of the Cathara system. Red dots marked the positions of hegemony ships. Lisa counted 24 large warships and dozens of smaller fighters. They were arranged in a perfect formation around the planet, taking turns to fire massive weapons at the surface below. "God," whispered Commander Sarah Martinez, Lisa's second-in-command. "Look at the planet." The beautiful blue and green world that the Cathara had called home was covered in smoke and fire. Entire continents glowed red from the heat of orbital bombardment. The oceans were boiling in some places where the heaviest weapons had struck. "Are there any survivors?" Lisa asked. Lieutenant Park worked frantically at her station. "I am detecting life signs in underground bunkers scattered across 3 continents, maybe 3,000 individuals at most. The rest of the population appears to be gone." Lisa closed her eyes for a moment. An entire civilization was dying while she watched. Billions of innocent beings had been murdered in just a few hours. This was exactly why humanity had built their secret fleet. Captain called out Ensign David Chen from the sensor station. "The hegemony ships are preparing for a final bombardment. They are charging weapons that could crack the planet's crust. If they fire those, nothing will survive." "Not on my watch," Lisa said grimly. "All ships prepare to decloak. Target the heavy bombardment vessels first. We end this now." The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. Every person knew their job perfectly. They had trained for this moment for years, even though they had hoped it would never come. "Weapons ready, Captain," reported Chief Gunner Michael Torres. "Engines at full power," added Engineer Priya Patel. "All ships report ready for combat," confirmed Commander Martinez. Lisa took a deep breath. Once they attacked, there would be no hiding anymore. The entire galaxy would know that humans existed and that they had military technology far beyond anything previously seen. "All ships, execute Operation Thunder," Lisa commanded. 12 human warships appeared in space around the Cathara world, as if they had been born from nothing. The hegemony ships immediately detected them and began shouting warnings and threats. Over their communication channels, "Unknown vessels, you are interfering with a lawful hegemony operation," came a harsh alien voice. "Withdraw immediately or face destruction." Lisa opened a channel to respond. She wanted the hegemony to know exactly who they were facing. "This is Captain Lisa Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Fleet. You have committed genocide against an innocent species. Surrender now or face the consequences." The alien commander laughed. "Humans. We have no record of any species called humans. It must be some primitive race with stolen technology. We will add your worlds to our empire after we finish here." "Wrong answer," Lisa said quietly. The battle began with devastating human precision. The Prometheus fired its main plasma cannon at the largest hegemony ship. The beam of pure energy cut through the enemy vessel's shields like they were made of paper. The alien ship exploded in a brilliant flash that lit up the entire system. All around the planet, human ships struck with perfect coordination, their quantum torpedoes phased through enemy armor to explode inside ship cores. Their particle beams sliced through hull metal like hot knives through butter. The hegemony formation collapsed in minutes. "How is this possible?" screamed an alien voice over the radio. "Our shields are rated against any known weapon." Commander Martinez smiled grimly. Unknown is the key word there. The human ships moved like dancers in space. They dodged enemy fire with impossible grace, their AI systems predicting where each shot would go before it was fired. The hegemony weapons seemed to move in slow motion compared to the lightning-fast responses of the human vessels. "Captain, 3 enemy ships are trying to escape," reported Lieutenant Park. "Let them go," Lisa decided. "We want survivors to tell the story of what happened here." Within 4 hours, the battle was over. 21 hegemony ships had been destroyed. The 3 survivors were racing away at maximum speed, broadcasting desperate messages about the mysterious human fleet. Not a single human ship had suffered any damage. Lisa opened communications to the planet's surface. "This is the Terran Defense Fleet calling any surviving Cathara. We received your message. We are here to help." The response came immediately, filled with joy and disbelief. "You came. You actually came. We thought we were alone in our final hours. You are not alone anymore, Lisa assured them. We are preparing rescue shuttles. Hold on just a little longer. As human ships moved into orbit to begin rescue operations, Lisa looked at the devastated planet below. The Cathara civilization was nearly extinct, but they would survive. Their knowledge would live on. Their children would grow up free. Commander Martinez stood beside her captain. The galaxy is going to react strongly to this. We just announced our presence by destroying an entire hegemony battle group. Lisa nodded. Good. Let them react. Let every enslaved world know that someone is finally fighting back. Let every tyrant know that their days are numbered. On the planet's surface, Cathara survivors emerged from their underground shelters to see human rescue ships descending through the smoke-filled sky. Many of them wept with relief. Their desperate message into the void had been answered by beings they had never imagined existed. Dr. Anaya, the eldest surviving Cathara scientist, spoke to the human rescue team leader. We broadcast our knowledge, hoping that someone worthy would find it. We never dared to hope that someone would come to save us personally. The human medic smiled as she treated wounded Cathara civilians. That is what we do. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. As the rescue operation continued, news of the battle spread across the galaxy at light speed. The hegemony's reputation for invincibility had been shattered in a single afternoon. A new player had entered the galactic stage, and they had announced themselves by performing a miracle. The news traveled across the galaxy like wildfire. On 1,000 worlds, beings gathered around communication screens to watch the same impossible footage over and over again. Hegemony warships, the most feared vessels in known space, had been destroyed by mysterious attackers calling themselves humans. On the mining world of Zarian Prime, slave Graxi workers whispered excitedly in the deep tunnels where their hegemony overseers could not hear them. For 50 years they had lived in chains, digging precious metals for their conquerors. Now they dared to hope that freedom might be possible. "Did you see the battle recordings?" asked Corlix, an old Graxi whose back was bent from decades of forced labor. Those human ships moved like living things. They destroyed a whole battle group without losing a single vessel. His younger companion, Thesa, clutched a piece of communication equipment they had secretly built from mining scraps. I heard the humans broadcast a message afterward. They said they protect those who cannot protect themselves. Do you think they meant us to? In the capital city of the hegemony, Supreme Overlord Thrax paced angrily in his throne room. Massive reptilian commander had never faced a military defeat in his 40-year career. His empire controlled 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. His fleets had conquered 67 worlds without ever losing a major battle. "Show me the footage again," Thrax demanded. His military advisors reluctantly played the battle recordings. For the 10th time that day, the destruction of the Cathara siege fleet played out in painful detail. Ships that had taken years to build were reduced to glowing debris in minutes. "How many humans are there?" Thrax asked. "Where do they come from? How did they develop such advanced technology without us knowing about it?" General Vex, his chief military advisor, consulted a data pad with shaking claws. "Our intelligence networks have no record of any species called humans. The few ships that escaped the battle reported that the humans appeared from nowhere, as if they materialized out of empty space." "Find them," Thrax snarled. "Find their homeworld. Find their fleets. I want to know everything about these humans before they can interfere with our operations again." On the peaceful trading world of Harmony Station, representatives from dozens of species gathered in emergency session. The station served as a neutral meeting place where different civilizations could conduct business and share information. Today, everyone wanted to talk about the same thing. Ambassador Kellen of the Zephyr Republic spoke first. "The humans have done something no one thought possible. They defeated a hegemony battle group in open combat. This changes everything." "But what do they want?" asked Counselor Mira from the Crystal Collective. "Are they conquerors like the hegemony? Will they simply replace one tyrant with another?" Dr. Yavek, an elderly scientist from the Archive Worlds, projected the human rescue footage onto the main screen. "Look at their actions, not just their weapons. They could have left the Cathara to die after destroying the hegemony ships. Instead, they stayed to rescue survivors. They provided medical care and emergency supplies. These do not seem like the actions of conquerors. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Vasquez stood before the largest gathering of world leaders in human history. Representatives from every human colony and space station had gathered to witness this historic moment. The secret was finally out, and humanity had to decide what kind of galactic neighbors they wanted to be. My fellow humans, President Vasquez began. For 3 centuries, we have watched the galaxy from the shadows. We have seen empires rise and fall. We have witnessed terrible injustices that we chose not to prevent. Today, that changes forever. The audience listened in complete silence. Many of these people were learning about the wider galaxy for the first time. Others had worked in the secret programs for years but had never imagined this day would come. Hegemony has sent us an ultimatum, the president continued. They demand that we surrender the Cathara refugees and submit to their authority. They threaten to destroy Earth if we refuse. Angry murmurs rippled through the crowd. The idea of surrendering to alien tyrants was unthinkable to most humans. Here is our response, President Vasquez said, raising her voice. She activated a communication array that would broadcast her words across the entire galaxy. Every inhabited world would hear what humanity had to say. I am President Elena Vasquez of the United Earth Government. I speak for all of humanity and our colonies throughout the stars. We have received the hegemony's ultimatum. Our answer is simple, no. She paused to let her words sink in across the galaxy before continuing. For too long, the hegemony has spread fear and oppression throughout the galaxy. They have enslaved innocent species and destroyed entire civilizations. They have made the galaxy a darker place through their cruelty and greed. This ends now. On 100 worlds, beings stopped what they were doing to listen to the human president's speech. We are the children of a world that almost destroyed itself, learning the costs of war. We spent centuries developing weapons we hoped never to use. We built fleets we prayed would never see battle. The hegemony has forced our hand. In the deep space monitoring stations around Earth, human technicians detected millions of alien communication networks suddenly coming alive. The galaxy was listening. To every enslaved world, every conquered people, every species living under the hegemony's boot, know this: you are not alone. Humanity stands with you. We will not rest until every chain is broken and every tyrant is brought to justice. Supreme Overlord Thrax received the transmission in his throne room. His advisor General Vex watched the reptilian commander's eyes fill with rage. So the humans want a war, Thrax hissed. They think their 12 ships can challenge the might of the hegemony empire. They will learn the price of defying us. My lord, General Vex said carefully, perhaps we should negotiate. The humans' technology appears to be far beyond anything we have seen before. Thrax struck his advisor with a massive clawed hand, sending the smaller alien crashing to the floor. The hegemony does not negotiate with rebels and terrorists. Prepare the Grand Fleet. Every ship, every weapon, every soldier. We will crush these humans so completely that no other species will ever dare to challenge us again. But across the galaxy, the damage was already done. On enslaved worlds, secret. Resistance movements began planning uprisings. On neutral worlds, governments quietly began reaching out to human diplomatic channels. On trade routes, smugglers and pirates started attacking hegemony, supply ships with new boldness. The balance of power that had kept the galaxy stable for decades was crumbling. Humanity had thrown a stone into still water, and the ripples were spreading everywhere. Some beings feared what would come next. Others saw hope for the first time in generations. Dr. Sarah Chen, now serving as Earth's first xenological advisor, watched the galactic communication networks light up with activity. We cannot go back now, she told President Vasquez. Whether we win or lose, the galaxy will never be the same. President Vasquez nodded grimly. Good. The old galaxy was built on fear and oppression. If we are going to change it, we had better be ready for what comes next. The sleeping giant was fully awake now, and the galaxy held its breath. 6 months after President Vasquez's declaration, the galaxy was burning with revolution. What historians would later call the Terran Liberation War had spread to every corner of known space. Human fleets appeared at hegemony strongholds, like ghosts, striking fast and vanishing before enemy reinforcements could arrive. Captain Lisa Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, now serving as the flagship for the largest human fleet ever assembled. Through the view screen, she could see the final target, Dominion Prime, the capital world of the hegemony empire. Massive orbital fortresses surrounded the planet like deadly flowers. Thousands of hegemony ships patrolled the system in perfect formations. "Captain, we are detecting the Grand Fleet," reported Lieutenant Park. "Over 3,000 vessels. Supreme Overlord Thrax appears to have called in every ship from across the Empire." Lisa smiled grimly. "Good. That means every enslaved world they abandoned is now free to rebel." The plan was simple, but dangerous. While Thrax gathered his forces to defend his capital, human strike teams had been liberating hegemony worlds. Across 3 spiral arms, the reptilian overlord faced a choice: spread his fleet thin to maintain control, or concentrate everything to protect his throne world. He had chosen poorly. "All human fleets report ready," announced Commander Martinez. "We have 47 capital ships and over 200 support vessels in position." The numbers still seemed impossible. 47 ships against 3,000? But Lisa had learned not to think like the old-style military commanders. Human technology had advanced far beyond anything the galaxy had seen before. "Begin Operation Final Thunder," Lisa commanded. The first phase was pure deception. Human ships decloaked throughout the system, but not where the enemy expected them. Instead of attacking the orbital fortresses directly, they appeared behind the moon bases and asteroid mining stations. Quantum torpedoes destroyed the hegemony's supply lines, while plasma cannons eliminated their communication arrays. Supreme Overlord Thrax watched from his command throne as his perfect defenses crumbled. His massive flagship, the Eternal Dominion, was supposed to be the most powerful vessel ever built. Its shields could deflect planet-killing weapons. Its guns could destroy entire fleets. "How are they doing this?" Thrax roared at his terrified staff. "Our sensors show only 4 enemy ships, but they are attacking in 12 different locations at once." General Vex, his face covered in bandages from their last meeting, consulted his tactical displays with shaking claws. "My lord, the humans appear to be using some form of dimensional folding technology. Their ships can be in multiple places at the same time." What General Vex did not understand was even more frightening. The human ships were not bending space and time. They were simply moving so fast and coordinating so perfectly that they seemed to be everywhere at once. Their AI network allowed them to strike, retreat, and reposition faster than any organic mind could follow. The second phase began when human ships started targeting the hegemony fleet directly. But instead of fighting fair battles, they used tactics that no one had ever seen before. Human vessels would appear inside enemy formations, fire their weapons, and vanish before the hegemony ships could even turn to face them. "This is impossible," screamed Admiral Corax from his burning battleship. "They are inside our shield perimeter. How did they get past our defenses?" The answer was that human ships did not need to break through shields. Their quantum phase weapons could target the space inside enemy vessels directly. Hegemony ships found their reactor cores exploding while their hulls remained untouched. On the planet's surface, enslaved beings watched the battle through stolen communication equipment. The Graxi mining slaves on Zarian Prime had finally thrown off their chains. The crystal farmers of Harmony 7 were fighting their hegemony overseers with farming tools. Across the galaxy, revolution was spreading like wildfire. "Look," shouted Corlix, the old Graxi worker, pointing at his makeshift screen. "The humans are winning. They're actually defeating the Grand Fleet." The third phase was the most spectacular. Human ships began working together in ways that seemed to defy physics. Groups of vessels would combine their weapons into single, devastating attacks. Their coordinated firepower could punch through any defense. Supreme Overlord Thrax realized his empire was dying around him. Half his fleet was already destroyed or fleeing. His orbital fortresses were burning ruins. His once mighty capital world was defenseless. "Prepare my personal shuttle," he ordered. "If the Empire falls, I will not die with it." But Captain Rodriguez had anticipated this. "Target the Eternal Dominion," she commanded. "Do not let their leader escape." The final assault was personal. Lisa took direct control of the Prometheus as it closed distance with Thrax's flagship. The two massive vessels exchanged fire in a duel that lit up the entire system. Hegemony plasma bolts crashed against human shields while quantum torpedoes tore through alien armor. In the end, human technology proved superior. The Eternal Dominion's shields failed first. The Prometheus's main cannon fired one last shot that penetrated straight through the enemy flagship's core. Supreme Overlord Thrax died as his ship exploded around him. With their leader dead and their fleet destroyed, the remaining hegemony forces surrendered or fled. The 300-year-old empire collapsed in a single day. 1 year later, Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the Great Assembly Hall of Unity Station, built in orbit around the former hegemony capital. Around her, representatives from over 200 worlds worked together to create a new future. The Galactic Freedom Alliance had replaced the old empire, but it was built on cooperation instead of fear. The Cathara had not only survived, but thrived. Their dimensional sciences, freely shared with their human rescuers, had opened new possibilities for exploration and discovery. Dr. Anaya, the elderly Cathara scientist, now served as the Alliance's chief technology advisor. "You came when we called for help," Dr. Anaya said to Sarah during a break in the assembly session. "But you gave us so much more than rescue. You gave us hope for a better galaxy." Sarah smiled as she looked around the Great Hall. Beings from dozens of species worked side by side, translating languages, sharing knowledge, and planning joint exploration missions. The galaxy was no longer divided between conquerors and victims. "We almost did not come," Sarah admitted. "Our leaders were afraid of revealing ourselves. We had been hiding for so long that we forgot why we built our fleets in the first place." "Why did you build them?" Dr. Anaya asked. Sarah thought about the desperate message that had started everything. An innocent species facing extinction had called out to the universe, hoping someone would care enough to help. That simple act of faith had awakened something in humanity that 3 centuries of hiding had not destroyed. "To protect those who cannot protect themselves," Sarah answered. "We just needed someone to remind us of that purpose." Outside the station's great windows, ships from 100 worlds traveled freely through space. Former slaves had become explorers. Ancient enemies worked together on scientific projects. Children grew up knowing they were citizens of a galaxy where freedom mattered more than power. The sleeping giant had awakened, and the galaxy was better for it. The age of tyrants was over. The age of cooperation had begun, somewhere in the vast reaches of space. Other desperate voices might call for help, knowing that someone would always answer. The human fleet stood ready, watching over a galaxy that had learned to dream of better days.